I mean, we're still working on understanding that. I think we made a lot of good decisions along the way. We've now done it several times. We just had a paper out on a meditation-inspired video game called Metatrain that was in Nature Human Behavior just last week, delivered on a tablet where we also showed transfer, pretty remarkable transfer, even beyond, in some ways, I think, what we show with NeuroRacer. You know, so there are certain elements that we think are very important. The adaptive closed loop nature is a big plus. We tend to build our games to create deep engagement, immersion, good feedback, and reward cycles. If you don't put pressure on the system, it's not going to change. You're not going to really get benefits, especially benefits that transfer. So I think a lot of approaches are just not that fun, and I think fun is really important here. And especially when you're dealing with young people that have sort of a high bar of what they feel like entertainment should be, and especially when you're asking them to do something multiple days and when you're asking them to do it deeply and really push. So I think that's another asset that we have. We have actually a paper in Neuron showing that the adaptivity is sort of like a scalpel, like determines what actual abilities are improved. So these are things that are like our core, that are true for all of our interventions, and I think that we do a pretty good job at developing them at a high level, and so I give part of the credit to that. The other part is knowing what abilities to target. So we tend to focus on cognitive control. Pretty much all of our interventions are on attentional systems. And attention's, you know, a pretty good bet if you're looking for things to transfer, because we rely upon it for everything we do. If you have, you know, impaired attention, everything suffers, everything. And you see that, and many studies have shown that, not just other cognitive abilities that rely upon focused and sustained attention, but real life activities as well. So we like that because we think those type of things have the best opportunity to transfer, and also many clinical conditions, as we've discussed, have deficits in those abilities. So again, that could lead to transfer to different clinical conditions with the same intervention. The other thing is we base a lot of our decisions upon what to focus on in terms of our mechanics, based upon, you know, years of cognitive neuroscience research looking for networks that overlap across different conditions. That's exactly what led to NeuroRacer, is finding, you know, for many years that cognitive control systems share networks in common, so that, you know, transfer is not a magic trick. There has to be an underlying neural bridge between these abilities to allow you to get better at one after training in another. So I feel like our experience in cognitive neuroscience has been an asset in determining what we want to focus on. And then the other part of it is experimental design. It's not just what you build, it's how you test it. So it's really easy to pick bad outcome measures that are just impossible to transfer because there's no connection between what you are treating and what you're trying to improve, so it's a waste. Some outcome measures are quite appropriate, but they're not very good tests. In other words, they change dramatically no matter what you do. Even practice effects are massive. And so you're never going to find, even if you had a meaningful change, your control group's going to show a massive change too, and you're going to miss it. And so we spend an exhaustive amount of time on our outcome measures as well. And then other aspects of experimental design. How do you motivate your participants to really engage deeply? These are all the subtleties and the details that go into both the technology development side and the experimental design. I think one of the things that make us pretty unique is that we do both. We do tech development, and we develop that technology with an idea of what we want to transfer from the very beginning, and then we design the studies around what we've built. So there's no disconnect for us. It's just one system. And I think groups that may rely on other people's technology that they might not fully understand and have control over is a disadvantage when you're looking for these outcomes. So, I mean, it's a lot there, but, you know, it takes us a couple years to build every single game that we create, and a couple years to do our first studies on them. So, you know, like our Metatrain paper that we just published was 5 years from the beginning of that idea until our publication. So they're massive efforts on a single goal of creating these transfer effects and getting some evidence of sustainability.